Hi, Mark. How you doing?
Hi, Graham. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. Yeah, what I'll do,
Brilliant.
Mark, is what I'll probably do is we just move things around a little bit. We can be flexible like
That's
that.
fine.
So we put your video on next, and you'll be available afterwards for any questions and things. Yeah.
Certainly, yes. It's all about trying to get people ignited a little bit about what we can do with things that we might not think about.
Brilliant.
So
That's great.
hopefully, yeah,
Thank you very much. Right. So
you're welcome.
hopefully Lisa will come back, but we'll get you up there.
Hello, my name's Mark Boylan. I'm a Year 4 classroom teacher. I lead on computing. I'm also a Barefoot ambassador and a CAST community leader. I've always had a fascination with computing, and in particular how we can get computing used across the curriculum and out and about everywhere. And that's spread into different things. So I've always had fun with things like the makey, trying to program by just actually pressing on things, children exploring conductivity and installation, things like the crumble boards to build fairground rides to get them to move. That's always been a great thing. But I've also had a fascination with Lego, and I think Lego is an endless classic. I've used it in the past to teach things like mean, mode, medium, range. I've also used it in ways for graphing, using counting the bobbles on the top to make simple graphs. This here is a prototype that my son built. He wanted to play a game on the screen, so he mirrors it up to the TV screen and then puts his iPhone into there and then plays away on his racing game. Brilliant tool. If we think about blocks, then we might think about Scratch, and we might think about those visual block-based tools that we have. Now, with those things, they're brilliant, but they lack a certain degree because everything is virtual. It's happening on a screen. But if we can combine the two, then it becomes much more engaging. Now, there is a little bit of kit that comes from Lego. It's called the Lego WeDo, and that allows us to build different types. There's a dedicated app that works on Windows, on Mac, on iPad. I believe it's coming to Android as well, but I'm not quite convinced on that one just yet. Now, with the WeDo content, it's based around three basic ideas of computing, science, and design technology. But I actually think it can go a lot further than that, as well as the way that we take it. Now, if you think about what an engineer does and what a scientist does, what the engineer is doing is taking those ideas and actually seeing how they can work. A bit like the device here, it's prototyping. It's using the device in a way to solve problems, to think about how we can investigate and develop and understand our ideas. And we need to learn that coding because it is really powerful, because that actual process actually makes us have to think about things. And if we think about how we teach coding, at one end we've got that scaffolding, and it's how we would go across other subjects as well. We start off with scaffolding, with showing how something is done, before we move more into the independent tasks that we ask children to do. So we have at one end copy code, and then we might start to do dedicated targeted tasks, sharing the code in looking at the exploration. And Lego works in a similar way, where we've got a way to actually think about exploring ideas and then starting to build that prototype, that model, that design, program it, modify it, and understand the world as it goes through. Now, within the app, there are two sets of programs. There are what we call guided projects, and these are literally guided. So they'll show you the model, how to make it using the standard Lego sort of instructions. Put this brick on top of that brick and that brick and that way. Eventually you get to the model built, and there we go. And we can explore that in lots of different ways. But there are also what we call open projects, and the open projects allow you to actually then think about how we can just take those ideas and take them a little bit further. So if we think about it in that progress, we've got down at that bottom all that scaffolding. That's where the guided projects are. They're scaffolding with targeted tasks getting there. And then we're going into that guided exploration with the open task and actually the projects, and actually opening it up and going beyond. Now, one of the things that we can do, and Barefoot have got some resources on this that you can actually try out, but with the WeDo, we can actually connect it to Scratch. And so we can take something like this, which is a car. There's no model there for it. This is being built just through there. And then the motor is connected to it, so it's driving the wheels there. And then by programming it, we can actually get this to drive across. Now, we did this recently with the children who were in school, and they actually had some races across the hall with the models that they built. Now, taking that code, that takes it to another level. It develops the idea and thinks, right, well, it's not limited there. Actually, we were freeing up the whole process of it. So we're thinking about how we can start to push that envelope a little bit further. And last year, in our year 5, they'd done some work with volcanoes and looking at sensors and how they might use things. And following that, the DT lead came and said he wanted to actually do something a little bit more with it. So we said, what about if we built the Thames barrier? So, yeah, I don't know how you can do it, but yes, go for it. And so what happened was the children started from that process of what they knew about the Thames barrier, how it worked, and thinking about what they would need to do. So between them, they started to investigate how they could use the gears to turn the models. So they built the models. They then, when they found that the one that worked, they then taught each other how to build that model. So they had multiple models of this built in the same way. Then the fun part starts, because then you've got to program it to actually do what you want it to do. So that was the bit where the children then started to work in little groups, in pairs, team coding, paired coding, to actually then try and work out how they could code the model to turn. Having coded it, you get problems. It doesn't always work the way you expect it to do. And so there's quite a lot of debugging and solving that problem, how to get it to work. Until eventually you get that success moment of, yes, it worked. And that pushing through to actually getting something that actually succeeds. And when we do that, you know, we build up that resilience in children, but we also enable them to take the next step and actually take things a little bit further. So yeah, being using Lego to recreate a model of the Thames barrier, brilliant. But in some ways, it's not just about the blocks or the bricks, it's about merging them together. And sometimes, perhaps, yes, you do have to be a little bit crazy to take on those sorts of ideas.
Brilliant, Mark.
There you go with Lego. Hello, sorry, Graham.
How was it seeing yourself? All right.
It was all right. Yeah.
Some of that stuff, it blows my mind. The things you can do now with robotics and that. I'm really, I am a bit, what do you call it, a noob? A bit of a noob when it comes to that.
Possibly, yeah. I mean, I'm still learning. There's lots of different things that are out there, but I think one of the things with Lego is it's so easy to pull it apart, rebuild it, and try different things. It is just amazing. And unlike when you're building things like this, where you're actually sticking things on, you've got the glue to dry, and then try it out. With Lego, it's very quickly able to prototype something, to build it, see if it works, and then move on for it. It's such a fantastic tool.
Yeah, do you know we've got the Lego we do, but I didn't realise that you could link it to Scratch either. That brings a whole new dimension to it, doesn't it?
It certainly does. It's Scratch 3.0, so you've got to have the latest version of Scratch. But yes, you just download it. There's a little bit of requirement for the Bluetooth connectivity on the devices, but so long as they match up, you can program it on really lots of different things. Yeah. So it's a brilliant tool. I think it's gone a really long way.
Yeah, fantastic. Thanks very much. I can see Lisa's back. She's in her waiting room. So she's managed to sort her internet. Apparently it crashed, like it does.
Well, that's why I sent the video, because I have fears of that myself.
Yeah, smooth video too. Yeah. What tool did you use to make your video, Mark?
I use iMovie on the Mac. So nice and simple. Been using it for a long time.
Yeah, lovely. Thanks very much. Thanks again, Mark.
You're welcome. Take care, Graham, and cheers for doing this.
Oh, cheers. I've run out. I need another drink. I need to get one in a minute. Thanks a lot, Mark.